Hi Sharon. So let's take a look at your foxtrotter. So first here you're just walking, and what I notice is she crosses her front legs over a little bit. So it kind of looks like she's walking on the same line with her front legs. That's something just to be aware of. It might be the angle, so you might want to just stand in front of her and see how she walks. But if she does cross over, you want to make sure you're picking the straight line and helping her to hold straight, so she can really understand where her feet are. Sometimes it's difficult if they're crossing their feet over and walking on like what they call a tightrope, okay? So as she's walking, of course she looks very calm and all of that, but she does move her head just a little bit side to side. So as you start getting faster, I'm gonna pause it, her head does go up and down, and their head goes up and down when you do a flat walk, a running walk, or foxtrot. And so as her head goes up and down, it also goes a little bit sideways. And that means that her head is not just going up and down this way, but it's going this way as well. A lot of foxtrotters seem to do that. So I would just make sure you have just a little bit more contact so you don't have as much motion. So the up and down is fine, but I wouldn't let her swing her head side to side. So just watch her head. Don't watch anything else, the gait or anything. So see how her head's kind of going side to side? I would like it just to go up and down. I don't like when they start swinging side to side like that. So if it was me, I'd keep a little bit more contact and try to hold her a little bit straighter. So a lot of foxtrotters will have a flat walk and a running walk. And so they have lots of different speeds. So that looks like her flat walk right there, but then she starts going faster and you start going more up towards a running walk, and then she really kind of gets into it and really starts swinging and moving, and again the head's going up and down, but it's also going a little bit side to side. Okay. So as she's going, she's kind of just moving her head up and down, but also sideways, and then it comes down a little low, and it's kind of moving all over the place. I would try to give her a little bit more contact to try to help her hold it straight. And then I would see how she's going side to side there. You got the side there, you got the ears flopping, and she's doing pretty good, but then there she starts to get just a little heavy on her front end, and I'm always careful with that when I'm out on the trail because I don't want them to trip. So you want to make sure she stays light, but I wouldn't have her head get down too far. I would tend to tuck her head in just a little bit more on the vertical. And then with this bit, she's playing around with it a lot. I saw it in one of the videos, so I'll go back. The snaffle, you know, just works completely off the tongue, and some of these horses have a low palate, and then the snaffles can bother them some. So you just want to kind of play around maybe with a little bit different bits and just see how she does, because if they're opening their mouth, then there's too much tongue pressure on them. So as she starts moving out, she really starts swinging up underneath her. She has a very nice gait, but that's more towards your running walk. And then I'm sure she could go even faster, and she probably does a saddle gait as well. So as you're doing this, I would just be a little bit more consistent with her speed, because her speed is changing. I'm trying to get this back. Okay, so watch it again. So, and it's different if you're doing that on purpose, but you started out as a trail walk. Then you start speeding up and you start going towards a flat walk, but then you go right past it. So that would have been your flat walk, but then she just keeps speeding up. So as you're going, she just keeps getting faster and faster. So you want to make sure she has some speed control and stays the same speed you want. But that's more going up towards a running walk. And so again, I would practice just trying to keep her the same speed. She doesn't look like she's getting trotty or pacey. So as you're coming up, everything with your body and all of that looks good. I would just tend to keep a little bit more contact on her. And everybody's different on what they want to do. I mean, she's gaiting pretty well, but I would tend to just round her out just a tiny bit by just putting her head just a little bit more on the vertical, or at least keeping a little bit more contact. And then again, swinging their head up and down is okay. I'm going to start it again. I just don't like that side to side, which I know I keep saying over and over again. But a lot of foxtrotters can do a flat walk and a running walk, and they can do a saddle gait and a rack besides their foxtrot. But you go much faster than a flat walk here. Okay. So here, that's just your trail walk. So that's a little bit too slow for your flat walk. Her flat walk should just be a little bit faster than that. Now, can you see her mouth right there? See how much she's playing around with that bit as you're putting some pressure in there? So that tells me that bit is causing a little bit too much tongue pressure for her. So I'm going to show you again. So as you're going, your reins are kind of floppy, she's fine. But as you pick up a little bit more contact, as your reins get straighter there, then she starts playing around a little bit more with her mouth. Okay, and maybe she's trying to put the tongue over the bit to get away from the pressure. All I know is she's just opening her mouth a fair amount. So I would make sure she knows how to give to the bit, because sometimes that's the problem. You know, make sure she can do lateral flexion and vertical flexion. And I have videos on that if you haven't seen it. And make sure she's given really well to the bit, so when you put pressure on it, she knows to drop her head down and not pull back against it. But if you've taught her that stuff and she does tuck her head in pretty well and gives to the bit, then I would say I would try a different bit and just see if she's happier in something else. You know, a lot of times we use those Mylar shanks, but you can use anything you want. But if you want to tuck her head in a little bit more, those Mylars usually help. So let's go to the next video. Now in this one, she's moving out pretty good. Okay, but she's still got that little swing of her head going back and forth. And it's hard to see her legs because of the field that you're in, but she is moving out pretty good. And it looks like she's staying pretty smooth up underneath you. I would tend to use a dressage whip if you need her to go forward more. So you give her little taps, and that way you can keep your fingers on the reins. And that way, if you need to half halt at the same time, you can. Because she's doing pretty well. There's a couple steps here and there where she changes just a tiny bit, but very minor. She's very nicely gaited, but from what I can see with her legs, she is going more towards a running walk. And then at times, let's go back. So see, she is shaking her head there, but it gets less. So at times she's going more towards like a little bit more of a saddle gait. So when she's not shaking as much, then you know you're going more towards a saddle gait. When she's shaking that head up and down, you know you're going more towards a running walk. Now this is one of her cantering. I think her canter is very nice. I would tend to not let them dribble out of the canter at the end. I would shut them down and come back to a walk. So here you go, cantering again. And if you want a little bit more of that rocking horse canter, then I would tend to half halt more and kind of drive her a little bit with your seat to try to see if you can get her to come up a little bit more. And then I would work a lot in circles in the arena to help her also with that. But otherwise, you know, it's a very nice canter, but the only thing major is just I wouldn't dribble into it at the end. I would bring her back to a walk or come back into a gait, and think of kind of pushing her into that transition so she doesn't kind of fall apart. You know, either push her into her gait or push her into a walk. Gaited horses, a lot of times when they come out of their canters, you know, will drag their feet or not pay attention. And when you're out on the terrain, you want to make sure that they don't trip at all. Body position wise, you're a very nice rider. I think everything else looks pretty good. It's just if you want that upright canter more, then half halt, drive with your seat and press a little bit with your legs every time your seat hits that saddle, and then make circles and then work on canter gait or canter walk transitions, and that also will help them to get more of that rocking horse canter. So in this one, as you start going downhill, that puts them a little bit more on the lateral side or the pacey side. You start speeding up a little bit, which makes her more lateral. She's still doing a nice gait, but it does bring their legs just a little bit closer together. And then her head's kind of all over the place. She's swinging it to the side, then she just threw it down. Then she kind of looked like she bulged out to the left, and then she went back over to the right. So to me, she looks a little bit unorganized, like she's just kind of moving around on the trail too much. So I would practice trying to keep her in a straight line more and trying to keep her the same speed. Again, naturally, she is very nicely gaited. But what's happening is as she's going around, you're kind of switching through your gaits. I'm going to go back. So you start out, with a trail walk. Then as you start going downhill, she starts going a little faster, which would be more like your flat walk. But since she goes downhill, she swings, and then she goes right past the flat walk. And she's going more towards a running walk, and then she starts doing a saddle gait, and she's throwing her head around, so it's difficult to tell. But you'll see as she starts going, then she's not moving her head up and down as much as she's going for more speed. So you want to be a little bit more consistent in telling her what speed to go and then keeping her at that same speed, because she's kind of just following the terrain. And then she's just going, and a lot of people go for too much speed. So if we're trying to get a foxtrot here, that's different. But I'll tell you at the end how to get a foxtrot if you want her to foxtrot. But otherwise, I would just try to be more consistent with the speed that you're going. Some foxtrotters have to die for manes, and apparently you have one. So she's very pretty. Yep, so that's just a nice trail walk. There she's playing around with the bit again, just a little bit, just so you're aware of it. So if you want a flat walk from her, it would be just a little bit faster than this, just like a mile or 2 per hour faster. Oh, and I guess that's it. So otherwise, her trail walk is very nice. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you while this is frozen. So what I would work on is consistency. So, when you're trail walking, keep her at a trail walk. If you want a flat walk, go faster than you are going here, but slower than you're going in the other videos, because then you were going too fast, okay? When you're going for a flat walk, you want to walk in fast enough that their head is shaken up and down, but most people can walk the speed of a slower flat walk, because your flat walk's like 3 to 5 miles per hour, but some horses are faster. So I would try to get her to do a flat walk just so you can have all the gaits, and that helps so you can ride with different people so she can go different speeds and hold it. When you're gaiting and doing the flat walk and the running walk, I like her head position here a little bit more. And if you're going to go towards the foxtrot at some point, then having her head in this position is going to help you. So right now, as she goes, she's more on the lateral side. So she does a flat walk, a running walk, and a saddle gait. If you want that foxtrot, what you're going to have to do is bring her head down, round her back out more, okay? And when you're riding her, you can tilt a little bit more forward, because that usually helps put them more on the trotty side. And this is only if you want a foxtrot. Like, her gaits are nice, so you don't have to do a foxtrot. That is up to you. If you want her to foxtrot, I would try it when you're going uphill, but really tuck her head down and bring her head down more here to help round her back, and that might convert her. Sometimes when you convert them, and you can do it on a hill, going uphill, or you can use poles, when they change, a lot of times they'll go into a hard trot instead. And so once you get the hard trot, then you actually want to half halt, slow them back down, and then actually bring your pelvis back to kind of neutral or back a little bit more in a chair seat. because if she converts to a trot and you stay leaning forward, then that just makes them trot more. So again, if you're trying to get the foxtrot, use a pole or use a hill, and then once you get it, once you feel her convert and she changes, even if it's towards a trot, stop her, reward her, tell her she's good. Do that a whole bunch of times so she understands, and then once she gets that trot, all you have to do after that is actually just slow her down. You'd slow her down, sit back more, and then you could bring her head up more. And then that will usually keep you in that foxtrot. So it's up to you which gaits you want. And I wasn't sure if you wanted a foxtrot or not. But I think it's a very lovely horse. I would just work more consistently on keeping her going the same speed. I would work on not letting her swing her head from side to side. I would work on straight lines and then keeping the same head position. So I wouldn't let her have her head up and then down and all over the place, because then to me it's too much motion and the horse isn't paying attention. And then if you get to a hole or something in here, sometimes the horse will trip. All right, I hope that helps, but let me know if you have more questions, and then I can send you other videos if you don't know how to get her head down as well. Let's play this again just so we go. But there she's a little bit more on the vertical. And again, maybe it's the bit that's bothering her, or it may be that you're not riding with pressure most of the time. So when you put pressure on her, you know, she's not used to it, and that's why she's playing around.